I heard my mother's voice before I opened my eyes. "She won't make it," she whispered. "Sign it." The ventilator hissed beside me. My body wouldn't move, but my mind was screaming. "Hi. My name is Alohan Hart. I'm 28. And the people quietly dividing my life like vultures at a wake are my parents. 3 weeks ago, I collapsed in my kitchen. A ruptured aneurysm, they said. Emergency surgery. ICU. Coma. While I lay unconscious, tubes down my throat and machines breathing for me, my parents gained temporary control over my estate, my house, my savings, my late grandmother's jewelry collection. Everything I built after clawing my way out of their suffocating control at 19. They told everyone they were handling my affairs. What they were really doing: selling my house, liquidating my accounts, listing my belongings online as if I were already buried. They didn't know I could hear fragments. Nurses talking, a lawyer mentioning transfer documents, my father asking how quickly the buyer could close. But they especially didn't know about the hidden door behind my kitchen pantry. And what waited behind it? When I finally opened my eyes, I decided not to tell them. When I bought that house 3 years ago, my parents called it reckless. "It's too big for one woman," my father said. "You'll fail and come crawling back," my mother added. They never forgave me for leaving at 19. I worked 2 jobs through college, built a small but successful digital security consulting firm from scratch, paid off every debt, bought that house outright at 25. That kitchen was my sanctuary. White cabinets, brass handles, sunlight pouring across the island each morning, and behind the pantry shelves, installed by a contractor who owed me a favor, was a reinforced steel door. Hidden, seamless. Inside it, documents, hard drives, cash reserves, assets no one knew about, not even my accountant. You see, I work in cybersecurity. I've seen how quickly families turn feral when money's involved. So I prepared. Not because I expected betrayal, but because I knew my parents. Growing up, they controlled everything: my bank account, my friendships, even my clothes. Love was conditional. Approval was transactional. When I moved out, they lost their leverage. My coma gave it back to them. Or so they thought. By the time I was transferred out of ICU, they had already closed on my house. They didn't realize they had just sold something that wasn't fully theirs to sell. I didn't wake up screaming. I woke up calculating. The first thing I asked for wasn't water. It was my phone. My mother's smile was too bright when she leaned over my hospital bed. "Oh, honey, don't stress yourself. We handled everything." Handled? I nodded weakly, letting my voice tremble. "My house." "Oh, sweetheart," she sighed dramatically. "The maintenance was too much. We made an executive decision. It's sold. You'll thank us later." My father avoided eye contact. That told me everything. Later that night, when they thought I was asleep, I used the hospital Wi-Fi. Logged into a secure backup server. My hidden network still active. Cameras still transmitting. I watched strangers walking through my living room. My furniture gone. My art gone. My grandmother's antique vanity removed from the master bedroom. They'd stripped my life like scavengers. Then I saw something that made my pulse slow instead of spike. The pantry. The shelves were gone. But the false wall panel? Still intact. The buyers hadn't discovered the door, which meant my parents hadn't either. I didn't cry. I started planning, because what they stole from me was visible. What they missed was leverage. The humiliation didn't happen in private. It went viral. A week after I was discharged, still pale, still walking carefully, I opened my phone to hundreds of notifications. My mother had posted a heartfelt video. She stood in my empty living room, now technically no longer mine, tears shimmering perfectly in the light. "We had to make difficult choices while Alohan was fighting for her life," she said. "Selling the house was necessary. Medical bills are overwhelming. Please keep our family in your prayers." The comments flooded in. "So strong. Such loving parents. You did the right thing. Children are lucky to have you." They raised nearly $80,000 in donations. My medical bills were already covered by my private insurance. They pocketed every cent. Then I saw the final blow. My grandmother's emerald necklace, listed at auction, captioned, "To help cover ICU expenses." That necklace was promised to me in her will. I still had a scanned copy. They thought the coma erased my voice. They thought sympathy erased paper trails. They thought public tears erased fraud. I stared at the video until my breathing steadied. If they wanted a public narrative, I would give them one. But not yet. I didn't confront them. That's what they expected. Instead, I went quiet. Pain has a way of sharpening you. Lying awake at night, stitches pulling when I breathed too deep, I replayed everything. The forged, temporary authority documents. The rushed sale. The donation campaign. The auction listing. Emotion would ruin this. Precision would win it. Step 1. I contacted the buyer of my house anonymously through a shell email account. I introduced myself as a legal consultant conducting due diligence regarding undisclosed structural features. I requested access under the guise of a potential liability issue. Step 2. I hired a forensic accountant. Quietly. Cash retainer from one of the accounts behind the hidden door. Step 3. I pulled my grandmother's will from the steel box inside that concealed room. Yes, I had stored the original there after notarization. My parents had authority over my medical decisions. They did not have authority to sell inherited property or fundraise under false claims. I didn't want revenge that screamed. I wanted consequences that echoed. By the end of the week, I had secured a private meeting. Not with my parents, with the buyer. And I brought blueprints. The new owner, Daniel Reeves, met me in what used to be my kitchen. He looked uncomfortable when I explained who I was. "You're telling me," he said slowly, "there's a hidden reinforced room in this house that wasn't disclosed in the sale?" "Yes," I replied calmly. "And it contains secured assets and documentation that were never transferred as part of the property." I showed him the original architectural modifications. My contractor's contract. My name alone on the permits. Then I told him the part that mattered. My parents sold this home under medical guardianship authority. That authority does not extend to concealed secured vault structures that were privately installed and registered as off-record security modifications. Daniel's face shifted from confusion to concern. "Are you saying this sale could be contested?" "I'm saying," I answered evenly, "you purchased a property with undisclosed structural additions and potential fraud attached to its transfer." He swallowed. I offered him a choice. Allow me supervised access to retrieve my secured assets quietly or become entangled in litigation that would freeze the property title. He didn't hesitate long. An hour later, we were standing in front of the pantry. I pressed the hidden latch. The wall shifted open. And inside was everything they thought didn't exist. Daniel watched silently as I stepped inside the hidden room. Steel shelves. Climate-controlled lockboxes. Hard drives neatly labeled. A fireproof case bolted into concrete. I retrieved only what mattered. The original will. Backup financial records. A sealed envelope marked contingency if compromised. Daniel didn't ask questions. He didn't need to. The seriousness in that room spoke for itself. Before I left, I handed him a folder. In here is documentation proving the house sale occurred under misrepresented financial distress. My medical bills were covered. The fundraising campaign was fraudulent. He exhaled slowly. "This is going to explode." "Yes," I said. "It is." 2 days later, my lawyer filed a civil suit. Fraudulent misrepresentation. Illegal liquidation of inherited assets. Financial exploitation of a medically incapacitated adult. Then came the court summons. My parents called me that night. "Eloan, what is this?" My mother's voice trembled. "You told the world you did what was necessary." I replied calmly. "Now, let's see if the court agrees." Silence. For the first time in my life, they sounded afraid. Court wasn't dramatic. It was surgical. Bank records don't cry. Transfer timestamps don't lie. Insurance confirmations don't forget. The judge reviewed everything. The forged urgency, the fundraiser deposits routed into my parents' personal account, the auction of inherited property explicitly willed to me. When my mother tried to cry, it didn't land the same without soft lighting and sympathetic comments. The ruling came down in under an hour. Full restitution. Return of the emerald necklace. Civil penalties for fraudulent fundraising. Criminal investigation opened for financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult. But that wasn't the twist. The real twist? Inside the sealed envelope labeled contingency was a clause my grandmother had insisted on adding years ago. If any guardian or family member attempted to unlawfully liquidate inherited property during my incapacity, they forfeited their own inheritance from her estate. Everything they thought they were protecting?
Gone.
Transferred entirely to me. After court, my father tried to speak. Alone, we were just trying to— No, I said gently. You were trying to profit from my silence. I walked away, without shouting, without tears. They thought I was already gone. They never imagined I'd wake up prepared. And this time, I kept the door closed.